right, so out here checking up on the red osier dogwoods I planted 2 years ago. It's long overdue for an update. This is our little swamp down here. When I planted them, like I said, we had a really wet spring, like probably 5 years ago now, and it killed off a lot of this buckthorn because buckthorn does not like standing water. And I just planted these and tipped over the dead buckthorn, and all the weeds and grass grew up right through them, so it acted as like a cage instead of coming in here and caging everyone individually. I'd say probably 60%, a little over half, are probably still alive, and probably 25% of them are looking really good, and the other 75% that are still alive don't look too good. So you can see we have some natural dogwood down here, that clump right there, and here's some of those buckthorns. Some of these are still alive. This one's like half dead, as you can tell. But right here's like one that I tipped over, and you can see I got a good two dogwoods planted in here still. They're not branching out as much as I was hoping, probably because they're fighting against all this giant ragweed and vegetation in the summertime. So like you see how that one's all bushed and branched out. I was hoping these would branch out more. I did have the rabbits girdle a couple of them in the winter, but not too bad. You can see this one's a little bit weaker. So you can see it's probably grown since about here or here when I planted it. Grew pretty much this last year. And then right over here, this is a really good one. Got two of them right here. Here's the dead buckthorn that I tipped over after, you know, digging these two holes and planting these two. It's about probably 7 foot tall. And then I got this other one right here. You can see nipped down a little bit. These things hardly get eaten on at all during the growing season because there's all this green vegetation, and there's just natural dogwood all throughout this area, but not right here. That's why I was trying to get it in right here. So pretty much the winter time is the only time, you know, these are going to get nipped on. Here's a couple more right here. Tipped over buckthorn. You see how the grass and everything grows up through it. This one doesn't really have the best protection. You can see it's just sticking up here on its own. Right here's a shoot that got munched off probably. So I wouldn't be surprised if this one gets rubbed in the future. It's pretty chewed up on the top here too. I'm sure I had another one in here that must have died, because on every single one of these I planted at least 2, sometimes 3. Right here's another one. This one's getting a little bit of shade from this buckthorn here, so it's not really doing the best. And you can see it's, I guess, tipped over right here too. Like I said, some of them aren't looking the greatest, but some of them are doing okay. Here's a really big buckthorn. And like I said, if you don't have this, you know, like a dead buckthorn or a live buckthorn to cut down right next to where you want to plant it, you could just haul in some brush or cut down a tree, drag it in, and just throw a bunch of brush around these. This one's doing really good. This one's almost 8 feet tall. Planted right there and right up through here. Like I said, I'm sure I had another one planted in here, but it must have died because, like I said, after the first winter, so last spring when I was walking around in here, I noticed the rabbits, like I said, had crawled in there in the winter and basically ate around all the bark and killed a couple of them. Thankfully, that didn't happen again. But look, there's just dogwood everywhere in here, but trying to fill all this gaps with more dogwood. This isn't red osier dogwood. This is like gray dogwood or something, because it's not as red as this stuff. Right here's another one that's not really doing the best. Right here's 2 more that are doing really good. And you can see that's all that dead buckthorn right there. That's gonna stay there for like 10 years. Nothing's gonna, I mean, deer are gonna have a hard time reaching in there to rub that. I mean, I suppose they could just walk right in there. It's not too hard really, but it's mainly for the first couple years. Now that they're established, you could cut that off and it's gonna grow back as long as it doesn't get browsed really bad. All right, here's another one. This one's not doing the best. You can tell that one's been getting nipped on. Looks like I got another one right here. This one's not doing too good. Oh yeah, look at that. I remember I planted a cedar tree at one of these. That's what this is right here. Another one right here, it's doing pretty good. About 7 feet tall, probably. It's pretty close to some of this buckthorn. It's still alive, so you can see the other one right here is still here too, but he's getting quite a bit more munched on, but still alive. Another one about 3 feet tall. Looks like there was one right here that I don't know what that is. That ain't dogwood. Another one right over here. So yeah, as you can tell, most of them aren't really doing the greatest. This one's still alive. It's just the top is a little dead and nibbled on quite bad. So I figured this would just be a quick little update. I got the stuff I planted last year in the other area. I stacked brush around. You'll see more of that when I come out with a different update later this summer, probably, or near the fall. That'll be anyways, but as you can tell, not really the greatest results, but some of them are taking off. Like I said, I think I only had like 50 of them planted down in here, and you can see like right here is where I planted 1 or 2, a couple falling down buckthorn over there, right there. So I probably was putting them in clumps of 2 and 3, like I said, and most of them, there's usually about 1 or 2 of them left. And only a few of them are 5 feet or taller. So I would still call this a success. I mean, like I said, with the existing dogwood down here, that helps take off quite a bit of browse off these little ones. I'm actually surprised that these top buds didn't really get messed with all winter, that some of these are actually looking as good as they are for being, you know, still in the browse level. Because I mean, you can tell there's deer down here. That's one of my hybrid poplar trees. That thing's probably like less than 5 years old. So yeah, thanks for watching. Just a quick little update here, and I'll have probably a couple other random videos like this throughout the summer here before food plots. So right here's some natural dogwood right along the trail here. You can see how much more hammered this is by the deer. Like every single bud is nipped off. Obviously it's a little bit better prime location where they're traveling it through, but another reason why it's probably just completely annihilated, like look at that, every single top is nipped on, is because, you know, the deer, they can figure out the most palatable plants in the area, and you can clearly see that this is a lot more vigorous and a lot faster growing than the ones I planted over there, just simply because it's just natural coming up on its own. And this is probably, you know, higher nutrient, better tasting than my ones over there that are barely alive and struggling to grow. So I guess it's a good thing. Well, not a good thing, but that they're growing slow. But that's the only reason why some of mine over there aren't getting eaten on as much as I expected, because they're just probably not as palatable as some of this natural dogwood in the area. I guess these are kind of taller too. They're not really branching out, but they are shooting up a bunch of them off the ground there. So, and then there's this giant dogwood circle right here. I've debated on, you know, maybe mowing it down and letting it regrow, but I've done that in a couple areas, and a lot of times when you mow a big dogwood like that down, as soon as it starts growing, the deer are just right on it and they almost kill it, because it's just not enough to that regrowth after you kill like or mow down a big dogwood like that is like super palatable, very nutritious, very attractive, and they're on it like all the time. And I've cut out and brush hogged some of them like that, and they just never can fully recover, and they stay stunted, and eventually after 2-3 years they end up just dying or barely alive. So that's why I'm just gonna leave this circle. And obviously having this dogwood down here is good, but you can pretty much walk along this whole perimeter and they're still eating on pretty much everything they can reach. So there's really no sense of really going through here and trying to, you know, create more browse when it's already here. And obviously having this dogwood down here and the dogwood throughout the swamp, it obviously is helping, you know, take off some browse off of the ones I'm trying to grow. But like I said, the ones I'm trying to grow aren't really, there's only a couple of them that are really turning out okay.